In the beginning, I thought we were making family content, but then the more you do this, you realize you're making kid content. Because adults like myself, we're not on YouTube. I'm not hanging out on Facebook. There are some adults, but you realize I'm not making content for people like myself. I don't watch.
No, it's family content, but
we make family content.
Yeah, but I'm saying family-derived content is usually kids watching families. Most adults are not watching families just because they're living in their own family.
But what I'm saying is when we used to have videos that were more strong, influential towards maybe other parents watching, that will not do as well, even though it's a family video, because really it's a kid.
And it's not as fun.
Kids want to watch families. So kids want to watch us have fun or sing and dance or compete or whatever that is. Kids want to watch that. In the very beginning, for first couple of years, I thought we were making content for other families or like other adults that might be watching just YouTube, whatever content. And you realize over time that it's not that at all. It's really kids watching you. So therefore, you need to have a really good message. You need to really look at how you're delivering it and what you're saying, because it's really a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old or an 8-year-old. It's really kids that are watching. And I pride ourselves in delivering, very positive content. I think the content shows the family that we are, which is wholesome, and we have fun, and we have kids that are able to communicate.
Wholesome. I don't like that word.
We're wholesome in good ways, but I think we're edgy in other ways.
That's what I'm saying, because sometimes that word comes with like a stigma, an air of like thinking you're just perfection, and we're so wholesome, and no, things happen. Like we're people. Things happen. Our kids do this, we do that, we get frustrated. There's things that happen, but I think we're showing a healthy family dynamic. I'd rather use healthy than wholesome. If that makes sense. We're
wholesome because we have good values and we have integrity.
We're earnest.
We don't follow the rules. I don't follow any rules. So that's a way how I'm edgy. I just don't follow rules. I make my own rules. Other people might say I'm a rule breaker or rebellious or you're white. Or white.
Therefore, you could not follow the rules.
But that's not true, because most white people, they're very adherent to rules. They're just, they're robotic and that's why a lot of white people are boring. Sorry, white people that are watching this. I'm not boring.
I can say that. Justin said that because he's white. He can say
but
that.
I don't follow rules in life. I make my own rules, and that's simple as that. So some people may not like that I do, but I'm living my life. So that's one way how we're edgy. We're also edgy in other ways. Like I don't mind showing how I discipline my kids, meaning that I'm the same guy on and off camera. And I think a lot of people are afraid to show their true selves on video because they're afraid of what people might think. And I just, not that I don't really care. Like I know I'm a good dad and my intentions are good, and like I have a lot of love in everything that I do. But if I have to discipline my kids, you have to decide you have to spank them, or you decide you have to make them write something 100 times. Like that's what I'm deciding, to try to make them be the best people they can be. Are we wholesome? I think people think of Partridge Family and Brady Bunch.
That's why I said
We're
that.
Not
like
that.
that is what wholesome takes me to. It takes me to a place of just this kumbaya, singing along, doing dances together, and I'm just like, what are you laughing at?
Kumbaya, my lord.
Yeah, like that's wholesome. I would say we're very earnest in who we are.
Listen, I drive a Porsche 911. I listen to heavy metal music. I'm not a wholesome guy. I would never somebody describe me as wholesome. I'd be
Justin,
like, God, I lost my edge.
You are somebody's grandparent, because the fact that you use heavy metal music as the I'm not wholesome, that's like somebody's.
But I do have a collared shirt on, guys. So I do play golf. Maybe I'm kind of wholesome that way. So, who knows?
You have a collared shirt with a chain.
But I got an ice chain, guys. So that I'm definitely not wholesome.
Wholesome is not a word I would use. I definitely don't want to be considered wholesome, more because, again, the thought and stigma that comes with it. So then people look at you. And I think people may have had that thought prior about us.
Yeah, for sure.
More because it wasn't even like we were acting wholesome. I think it's because we were tiptoeing around being 100% ourselves. And
which is not the same as not honest. Like we were honest.
No, we were so honest, but we were just tiptoeing around. Like for me, I would say, like, people now sometimes say things like, "Oh, Ami thinks it's all about her and her. Look what she's wearing, and why she got to dress this way or that way." And I'm like, this is not new clothes that just entered my closet. Like, I keep clothes for a long time. That's why my closet's full. Like, I keep stuff a lot. I've had a lot. My things are things I've had. I didn't just buy clothes suddenly yesterday because, I want to start dressing like this. No.
She did. She bought. Well, you did buy clothes yesterday.
Maybe.
She bought an expensive bag a couple days ago.
But, that's just to say, like, no, like anybody who knows me ever at all at any point in my life knows I have always been, I guess, a little bit edgier when it comes to my fashion. Like, I like to dress for my body. Mm-hmm. And that being said, sometimes dressing for my body may make other people uncomfortable, but that is not my problem because I'm not doing anything that I consider at least salacious. Like, I don't have cheeks hanging out. I don't have, like, it's just dressing for what I feel fits me. People also say things like, oh, well, what kind of example are you setting for your girls? I'm like, I'm setting the example. I'm setting the example that I'm 39 and you're 8. What are you talking about? First of all, I control what I buy. That's number one. Yeah. And then secondly, they know. Like any normal child would know. I'm like, of course I can't dress like my mom. She's a grown woman.
Well, I think you make a good point there. Once in a while, I let a curse word slip, and the girls ask me about that. And I'm like, well, listen, I'm a man. And I can't always be perfect around you, and I'm not going to try to be. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'm going to curse. That's what I do. You need to understand that's not what you do at this age. Yep. And also, by hearing enough curse words at some point, not from me, but you understand what that is, and it's not anything that's even interesting to you, but you understand it.
It's always interesting to a child after a certain age.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, as they get older, like they ask more of these mature questions, but I let them know that a mom and dad can't stop being a mom and dad just because you have kids.
You can't stop being who you are.
Nor do I want to be. Yeah. Nor do I want to be. Like, if I listen to heavy metal music and they think it's crazy, it's like, well, that's what I want to listen to in the car sometimes. We're going to listen to your Kids Bop most of the time, but once in a while I want to listen to what I want to listen to. And that's that. Is that a bad example? Absolutely, it's not a bad example. Because there's nothing about my life. If you were to look at my phone or go through my anything, there's nothing there that I would hide from anyone. Yeah. I might say it's not for you, but I don't need to hide it. So Wholesome is not us. I say we are earnest, and I say that we do have dignity. We do have high morals. We do have a lot of great values. But if we were wholesome, I don't think we would even be successful. Who wants to see Wholesome? Wholesome, to me,
is Brady Bunch was a successful show.
Yeah, back in the 60s when nothing was good, really, either. I mean, come on.
Justin, let's not call out the names, but there are these wholesome families. Oh, yeah, there's ton of... At least they pretend. I don't know if they actually are, but...
Well, there's a lot of wholesome YouTube families that kind of make their living the same way we do. Not being wholesome, but making content, but just about having a lot of kids. And they do a lot of wholesome stuff. They are perfect people. We're not perfect people, nor do I want to be. And if you take away my quote-unquote edgy card, I can't be sarcastic anymore. All these things that I want to be that make me who I am. Mm-hmm. Now, we may not be for everyone, which is great. That means we're for people, and they're going to love you. And I think that's more important.
Yeah, I think if you're real about who you are and who people are in general, then you can relate to our content. People who think, oh, you shouldn't have raised your voice in that moment, or oh, you shouldn't have said this, or oh, well, we all have our moments. That's just life. We all have our. If you don't have a moment, then you are not living. You're holding everything inside. I do also believe in going back and possibly reevaluating that moment you just had, because maybe you were wrong in that, split second thing. I'm a strong advocate for that. Like, I always will say to myself, like, in that moment, did I boom too much? But it's okay to have had that moment and rethink it. If you were fine with it afterwards, okay. If you felt like, maybe it was a little too much, then address that. That's kind of how I feel about things, which is why, like, I'll even say to you, I'm like, Justin, like, maybe that, and you said to me, like, I think maybe you were wrong about that, or that was not. And it's fine, because you can go back and think about it and say, yeah,
well,
maybe.
It's necessary to not bully your kids because they're young. And I think growing up, I was bullied in many ways because you are young. We talked about this before. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times I look at something that I did or said, I'm like, was that appropriate? And a lot of times it's like, yes, I should have raised my voice. Or sometimes I was like, no, I kind of crossed the line there, and I shouldn't have been that upset or something like that. And then I go apologize. I'm like, I go to whoever it was and like, hey, I'm sorry for that. And I have no problem with that. I encourage myself. I like that. Because I feel growth as a parent. In those moments, I feel like I'm getting closer to the child, as well as like I'm apologizing for a way that I felt I crossed the line. I'm also giving them credit to not be perfect as well, because they see their dad is not perfect. And I think a lot of times kids growing up, their mom and dad maybe not act that way. And then there's an illusion there that your parents are perfect when you're not. And I think our kids see who we are authentically. And in our content, sometimes when we get upset or there's something behind the scenes, like I keep it in. Mm-hmm. Like most people want to make a perfect video. I want to make such an imperfect video. When there's craziness going on, that's the stuff that I want in the video. We have an editor who works for us, and I'm like, no, when you see this stuff like this, and this, put that in the video. Mm-hmm. I don't want it to be perfect because then it's a snore fest to me. It's boring. So are we wholesome? Absolutely not. And do we want to be? No. But are we a good family? No, we're a great family. And that's it. We have great kids, they're well behaved. We put a lot into it.